My name's Harper Spencer. I'm 38, and tonight, an embossed envelope managed to rip open a scar that's been stitched shut for almost 20 years. The card called me Ms. Harper Spencer in blinding gold script. The same fingers that once traced missile paths across satellite maps twitch just reading it. They left off my rank, on purpose. Madison's engagement party, Napa Valley, formal garden attire. We can't wait to celebrate with the people who matter most. The words tasted like copper. I set the invitation on the flight deck of my kitchen table, next to sand-dusted boots that still smelled of Doha, and listened to the refrigerator hum like distant rotor blades. Every beat in my chest whispered the same old question. When did I become background noise in my own family? I could almost hear Dad's voice again. The day he shoved an Air Force Academy pamphlet into my 17-year-old hands while Madison squealed over the keys to her brand-new Mini Cooper. One daughter for the sky, one for the spotlight. He'd joked. Only one of us realized he wasn't kidding. If this is the first time you're hearing my story, take 2 seconds, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me the last time someone underestimated you. Stick around. Because by the end of this journey, you'll know exactly how sweet justice tastes when it's been aged in silence for decades. Rain drums against the hangar-sized windows as Travis Air Force Base fades behind my rearview mirror. I rehearse neutral greetings, but they curdle on my tongue. Madison's livestream ping lights my phone, her perfectly glossed grin framing a vineyard bathed in fairy lights. 700,000 followers spam heart emojis while she giggles. Can't wait for my big day family first. I tighten my grip on the wheel until leather creaks. The Spencer estate appears at sunset like something Disney would charge admission for rows of Cabernet grapes manicured down to the millimeter. Mom, Evelyn, materializes in a silk blazer and clip-on microphone, choreographing drone shots for her reels. Staff check-in is that way. She says without meeting my eyes. She thinks I'm here to stage manage, not to be seen. Same tactic she's used since she swapped local news anchoring for family PR czar. Inside, lavender candles fight for airspace with cold fear. Madison spins toward me in a white rehearsal dress, iPad in hand. Oh good. Harper, you made it. She passes me a laminated badge operations team. My lungs seize. I force a smile. Wouldn't miss it. She twirls back to her ring light, announcing a charity raffle like the world is her studio and I'm an extra who wandered onto set. Andrew Whitaker, her fiancé Major, C-17 pilot, approaches with veteran ease. His gaze flicks to the silver wings pinned on my lapel case. Respect blooms. Then confusion at the missing uniform. We shake hands. His grip solid, but his brow furrows, as if he's trying to place me from a mission report he once owed his life to. He doesn't press, he's polite. Polite is another form of silence. A tremor shivers through the estate's smart controls. Lights blink, somewhere below ground. Servers hiccup. Madison waves it off. Just the Wi-Fi. Yet the vineyard's climate system spits red error codes on an unattended tablet. Fermentation chamber overheating. Loss estimate $3 million. Panic flares in her eyes. She looks around for a hero and spots only me. Harper. Tech stuff is your thing, right? My heart rate spikes the way it used to when an enemy uplink flickered on screen. I drop to one knee beside the console. Fingers flying. My badge camera feed still connected to DefenseNet piggybacks through a secure tunnel. Lieutenant Coleman Elena Morales, my battle buddy. Messages, 4 words on your 6. Colonel. Together we patch the exploit, reboot the chillers, and seal the breach all before the guests finish their rosé. Madison exhales a tremulous laugh. You saved the wine, she says, half gratitude, half accusation, because a hero's spotlight isn't meant for the sister in staff black. She hugs me stiffly, perfume claws at my throat. Cameras flare, she angles me out of frame with practiced elbows. Furniture doesn't watch, furniture doesn't remember. They taught me that. They forgot what I do for a living. That night, insomnia prowls. Rain hisses against the guest room skylight staff quarters. Near the garage, memories barrel through like a midnight sortie, the roar of engines over Kandahar, the heat of electronics against shaking palms. Bodies counted by heat signature, not by name. I steady my breath, 4 in, hold, 4 out. But the old ghosts don't leave until dawn smears gray across the ceiling. At breakfast, Dad slides his phone across the table. Caught your little rescue, he mutters. The screen shows security footage of me at the console. His thumbs hover like he might delete it. Nice work, he says, tone flat as a flight checklist. He doesn't ask how I knew what to do. He doesn't ask how I became the kind of officer who can rewrite firmware on the fly. Recognition would cost him the narrative he's banked on for years, that Harper, the quiet one, simply follows orders. I excuse myself, claiming a pre-wedding errand, but really I'm following a ping sent by Elena, an unfamiliar IP address accessed fragments of Operation Silent Key last night, same exploit that almost cooked the wine. Someone inside the Vineyard systems tried to repurpose my wartime code for profit and almost wiped out their own crop. Intentional sabotage or a desperate patch gone wrong. Either way, my family just stepped on a mine they never knew they'd planted. Back in my Jeep, I stare at the invitation still jammed in the visor. People who matter most. My pulse pounds in my ears. Not anger momentum. This isn't just about a missing title, it's about erasure. About selling what you refuse to understand. And tonight the ledger finally balances. Tell me in the comments, have you ever carried a secret weight? Waiting for the moment you're forced to drop it on the table. Keep watching. The next move will prove why underestimating a cyber warrior is the costliest mistake my family ever made. The guest cottage Wi-Fi is garbage. So I drive until my phone latches onto the first 5G bar it can grab. Then park under a crooked oak on a service road that cuts through the vineyard rows like a secret trench. Elena's video feed pops up, night vision glow tinting her usually warm eyes. Got your packet, she says without hello, already scanning the code I forwarded. Tell me that's not Silent Key. I swallow. It's Silent Key, repurposed and clumsily masked. Whoever pulled it gutted the authentication, probably to make it talk to the Vineyard's climate AI. Elena exhales a low whistle. That algorithm predicted heat signatures on enemy ordnance. Plug it into fermenters and you can forecast sugar spikes and corner the luxury wine futures market. We sit in that awful hush where the brilliance of the crime makes the betrayal worse. I taste copper again. Logs point to an internal device. I add, MAC address belongs to Dad's old tablet. Her eyebrows lift. He wouldn't know how to spell algorithm. He wouldn't. I agree, but Madison would. And Mom hires coders like she hires florists. Elena leans closer to the camera. What's the play? Colonel. My fingers drum the steering wheel, counting seconds like heartbeats. We need proof strong enough to survive PR napalm. Tonight I'll ghost the network, trace every jump, mirror every file. Tomorrow, during the rehearsal dinner, we show the world what a family brand does with classified tech. Elena nods. Once orders received, then her face softens. You sure you're ready to light that fuse? 2 decades of swallowed words tighten in my chest. It was lit the moment they stamped Ms. on that envelope. Back at the estate, I move like invisible ink, only readable under the right light. Madison is filming a sunset gratitude reel. Wine glass perched theatrically against pastel sky. Dad and Andrew discuss drone deliveries for disaster zones. Andrew sounds engaged. Dad nods like he understands, but his eyes keep sliding to the cellar door. I slip past them into the server alcove Madison had built for content security, a glass closet lined with humming towers. My badge still grants all access. No one expects the help to hack. I plug in a drive no bigger than a thumbnail. Code blossoms across the monitors like frost cloning, time-stamping, tagging every suspicious transfer. On screen, a directory flickers open Spencer v. R&D Project Orion. Inside my own cipher tables, slightly altered, branded with Madison's digital signature. Beneath them, a draft press kit. Spencer Vineyards partners with Defense Tech for climate-resilient agriculture. They plan to go public after the wedding, painting themselves saviors of both veterans and vintners. I rip the drive out. Heart hammering loud enough, I worry the infrared mics might pick it up. When I turn, Andrew stands 2 meters away. He's holding 2 champagne flutes, one half empty, as if he'd been offering a toast, then forgot why. Didn't mean to startle you, he says. His gaze flicks to the drive in my fist. Looks classified. My training screams to bluff, but something in his tone flat, almost bruised, stalls me. You saw the Orion folder, I say. Not a question. He nods once. I kept wondering why Madison had schematics that matched a mission debrief I read in Qatar. Now I know. Shame. Not for me, but for his complicity. Clouds his features. How far are you taking this? Colonel, I study him. His loyalty lines are fracturing. All the way. I answer. He sets the untouched flute on a server rack, the glass chiming like distant ordnance. Then you'll need a witness. He murmurs. I'll testify. Gratitude flickers. But we don't shake. Some alliances form in silence. Behind us, the status LEDs pulse green, counting down to lives about to detonate. Dinner is rehearsal only in name. It's a soft launch influencer gala. Tables under crystal chandeliers drip eucalyptus garlands. Waiters glide like choreographed swans. Evelyn sweeps me toward the back where the staff files in. Harper. Darling. The lighting on Madison's entrance keeps glitching. Can you? She wiggles manicured fingers as if sprinkling tech dust. I clip my voice short. Ask your coders. She stiffens, the smile freezing, then pivots away as though my lack of obedience is a smear on her palate. From the sidelines, I catalog every false note, Madison's laugh pitchy under stress. Dad's hand trembling when he lifts his glass. The way Mom keeps glancing at the production crew, ensuring the narrative never slips. Noah Lee hovers near the dessert bar, camera pen tucked behind his ear. Our eyes lock for half a second enough. He has the story cued, waiting only for the right push. When they dim the house lights for Madison's toast, I feel Elena's ping vibrate against my ribs, all files secured. Broadcast key hot, Madison's voice floats, honeyed yet quivering. Family is the rootstock of every dream. My thumb hovers over the remote trigger in my pocket. Release the evidence now and the story breaks before the wedding. But I need maximum saturation. A stage too big to spin. Tomorrow's main event will stream to 1.2 million live subscribers. That's where truth will slice deepest. So I let Madison speak. Let Dad beam. Let the guests toast this kingdom built on stolen code and buried daughters. I pocket the trigger, raise a glass, and smile so warmly even Evelyn's cameras can't detect the fracture. Because the best revenge isn't a bullet, it's a spotlight, and I'm about to flip every switch in the house. Andrew slips out just after the dessert course, but not before tipping his head toward the East Wing balcony, a silent summons. I wait 4 measured minutes, mind replaying every operational brief I've ever issued on enemy soil, before following the shadowed hallway lined with family oil portraits that never include me. Outside. The valley wind tastes of crushed grape skins and ozone. A storm massing somewhere beyond the ridgeline. Andrew's silhouette leans on the stone balustrade, face lit only by the pulse of his smartwatch as he scrolls archived flight logs. April 9th, 2015. He murmurs without turning. My call sign was Frostbite 6. We rerouted off a hot LZ because some ghost analyst flagged heat anomalies no satellite could see. You saved us before we even took fire. He pivots, eyes raw. They rebranded that algorithm into wine insurance. I nod once, muscles locked to keep the shake out of my hands. He exhales like he's ejecting. I pulled every mission debrief your code touched. Packets are time-stamped and in my cloud-redundant backups in 3 jurisdictions. If they spin this, we counter-spin with the live silent key protected. Lightning flares over the vineyard rows, and for a beat we stand in charged quiet that feels more comrades in arms than future in-laws. I tell him the show goes live at 1700 tomorrow, exactly when Madison's subscriber count peaks with East Coast engagement. Andrew pockets his phone and asks what I need from him. Witness, I say, and the strength to let the blast radius hit wherever it must. His answering nod is grim but steady, and thunder answers in the distance like an affirmation we can't take back. Night drapes over the estate, but inside my childhood attic the air is still carbonated with dust. I dig through cedar trunks until my fingers close around a tarnished dog tag chain buried beneath dance recital programs Richard Sr.'s service tags, retired when Vertigo grounded his F-15 career. The metal is cold, heavier than memory. I set them beside a 40-year-old flight logbook, then flick on a battery lantern. Illuminating the records Dad thought no one would unearth. Each margin bears his shorthand crop yields. Mortgage figures, pilot dreams rerouted into vineyard overhead. I pieced together the timeline fire season losses. COVID shutdowns, letters from creditors watching desperation crystallize into the moment he uploaded Silent Key's code for appraisal. My pulse thrums. Not with pity, but with clarity. The data theft wasn't greed, it was panic. That nuance matters. Tomorrow I'll expose a sin born of fear, not malice. And the audience will decide how much mercy to spare. I photograph every page, email copies to Elena, and tuck the dog tags into my jacket pocket, evidence of lineage and motive, ready for the court of public opinion. As I kill the lantern, wind rattles the rafters, and for an instant the attic feels like the underside of a cargo bay, doors about to yaw open on freefall. I breathe steady and descend, knowing dawn will carry me the rest of the way. Sleep is impossible. So I jog the perimeter trail at 400 headlights of a maintenance ATV sweeping vine corridors like searchlights. My quads burn, lungs gulp cool air, and with each stride I rehearse the order of proof Elena's cloned directories. Andrew's debrief cache, Noah's expose draft, the hard copy financial motive. By mile 3. The plan feels less like revenge and more like an after-action review waiting to happen. Back at the cottage, I shower in silence, steam fogging the mirror until my reflection dissolves. Only the compass charm of my childhood bracelet glints sharp through condensation. I clip it to my dress blue lapel, let them see the little trinket they once called cheap steer, the narrative they can no longer buy. Outside, generators kick on, powering string lights that sluice gold across dew-coated grass. Event staff bustle, unfurling ivory tablecloths. I pass unnoticed, their radios crackling about song cues and drone camera flight paths. No one talks about yesterday's near catastrophe. Denial is the family's native tongue, and the hush before truth is always the loudest sound in the room. 1100 hours, hair and makeup chaos. Evelyn patrols the bridal suite like a field marshal, stuffing emergency concealer into Madison's quivering hands. I hover by the doorway, recording audio with my phone in plain sight. Mom notices and pastes on a smile so tight her lipstick cracks. Darling, could you fetch the media gift bags, translation exit? You don't belong. I lower the phone, step inside instead, and lock eyes with my sister in the vanity mirror, mascara wand mid-stroke. She freezes. We need to talk, I say, keeping my voice surgical. Evelyn bristles, but Madison nods almost gratefully, shooing stylists away. In the corner, I show her the Orion folder, the press kit, the server logs bearing her signature. Her breath stutters. Pupils dilate, fight, flight, or confess, she whispers. I only wanted investors to see we were innovating. I didn't know it was classified. I play Andrew's debrief clip, bodies disembarking under enemy fire. Heat maps swirling the human cost of her branding stunt. Tears bloom, streaking the contour along her jaw. You'll ruin us, she pleads. But there's no accusation, only raw fear. Truth isn't ruin. I correct. It's release. Outside, violinists begin tuning times up. Madison clasps my hand, the tremor matching mine, and croaks. Whatever happens, let it be whole. I squeeze back, unsure whether I've just gained an ally or signed her social death warrant, and step into the corridor where Evelyn's heels click a warning cadence. The hallway smells of peonies and impending combustion. I pocket my phone, evidence secure, and march toward the great lawn where guests assemble beneath a sky bruised with stormlight, knowing the next hour will decide who stands and who shatters. Clouds bruise the afternoon sky just as the quartet swells, and 200 influencers raise their phones in unison, transforming the vineyard lawn into a forest of glowing rectangles. Fairy lights shimmer over rows of ghost white chairs, the aisle flanked by barrels stenciled with Spencer Vineyards in gold leaf. Andrew stands at the makeshift altar in mess dress, silver wings catching the first tremor of lightning. Dad occupies the front row, posture martial, knuckles bone white on his cane. Mom hovers beside the production crew, one AirPod in, reciting engagement prompts like a stage director on opening night. I pace the perimeter in dress blues that feel heavier than body armor, braid tucked tight, thumb grazing the trigger in my pocket that will swap their perfect broadcast feed with a truth they can never unsee. At 15:59, Elena's encrypted ping flicks across my smartwatch stream key hot, while Noah's drone settles above the arch, its quiet rotors the only warning the family brand is seconds from implosion. Madison appears at 1600 sharp, veil flying behind her like a ceasefire flag. But her smile falters the moment she spots the compass charm on my lapel. She knows the fuse is lit. Violin strings cut. Applause rises, and Andrew steps forward, microphone in hand, voice steady, but eyes locked on mine. "Before we begin," he says, "I have an announcement." A hush flutters through the crowd. Lenses zoom for viral sound bites. Today, we launch the Harper Spencer Cyber Defense Scholarship, funded by the very algorithm that once protected my unit and countless others. Gasps ripple. Satisfaction curls warm in my chest. And that's my cue. My thumb depresses the trigger. Every LED wall blinks. The live stream feed sputters. And then, Operation Silent Key materializes 10 feet tall heat maps, casualty probabilities, classified watermarks still visible. An error siren bites the air. Mom's headset screeches feedback. Dad lurches upright, shouting for tech support that can't override a military-grade injection. I stride to center stage, Andrew handing off the mic without a word. "Good afternoon," I begin. Voice amplified across 5 continents. "Some of you know me as the Quiet Sister. The code on that screen saved 2 flight crews in 2015. Yesterday, it was repackaged as Project Orion to inflate a Wine Futures IPO. That repackaging violates federal law and every shred of decency I swore to defend." Thunder cracks overhead as if nature seconds the motion. And on screen, a side-by-side appears Spencer press kit versus battlefield footage. I watch the color drain from Madison's face while comment emojis erupt, shock, fire, salute flooding the live chat faster than moderators can blink. The crowd freezes, half of them angling for better shots, half slinking toward exits that suddenly feel too narrow. Dad staggers down the aisle, dog tags I planted in his jacket pocket clinking for the microphone to catch. "We were drowning," he rasps, rain starting to needle his shoulders. Investors were the only way I cut him gently. "Save a legacy built on lies," Elena's voice cuts in remotely, blasting through the PA as she pipes Noah's pre-recorded expose ledger sheets of vineyard losses. The email chain where Dad authorizes Madison to optimize Silent Key. A wire transfer from a hedge fund that spells motive in 6 digits. Mom yanks her headset, mascara running, and shouts, "Kill the feed but Andrew," now beside the AV rack, quietly unplugs her control tablet. Guests murmur, some filming, some crying. The algorithm that once predicted bomb heat now scrolls projected market gains in Madison's own annotation. She steps forward, tears streaking foundation, and takes the mic with trembling fingers. "I'm sorry," she whispers, voice ragged. "I thought innovation meant borrowing brilliance, not stealing survival." Her admission detonates louder than any accusation I could craft. Empathy flickers in a few faces. Disgust and more. I inhale. Steady. Accountability starts now. 30% of Spencer profits will fund veteran reintegration, supervised by an external trustee, or the Department of Justice sees everything you just saw plus more. A fresh voice answers, "Make it 40. Judge Karen Whitfield." Tailored suit rain-spattered. Has arrived flanked by 2 deputies and enough authority to freeze every bank account on this lawn. Pens click, cameras zoom, Dad's cane slips from his grasp as reality drags the whole empire to its knees. Madison. Eyes swollen but clear. nods once. 40. She repeats. Signing the provisional order on Andrew's outstretched clipboard. Lightning strobes. Thunder swallows applause. And rain finally ruptures. Soaking silk and ego alike while live viewers spike past 2 million. Paperwork sealed. I step back, letting the storm erase the old script. Violinists abandon their instruments, guests scatter for cover, and production lights fizz out one by one until the only glow is phone screens capturing a dynasty in freefall. Noah's drone ascends through the downpour, transmitting the final wide shot of family huddled drenched under a defective floral arch. While I stand apart, compass charm catching lightning like a tiny North Star. The scholarship fund ticker appears beneath the stream, donations flooding faster than the rain, proof the public still honors valor over vanity. Yet, as the chaos settles, a new silence edges in. Heavier than applause, the silence of consequences unspooling beyond my control. And for the first time all day, my hands begin to shake, because the next decision isn't about exposure. It's about what survives after the truth has scorched the vineyard clean. Wind howled across the lawn long after the guests fled, knocking lanterns into puddles where champagne once glittered. Police strobes painted the vines red-blue while techs unplugged the last hijacked screen. And I stood beneath the sagging floral arch until Andrew found me. Rain plastering his uniform to skin. He handed me Dad's dog tags. Deputies had logged them as Exhibit B, then closed my fingers around cold metal that felt heavier than any metal. "They'll process him tonight," he said, voice hoarse. Behind him, Madison crouched in her ruined dress, signing final consent for the 40% veteran fund. Mom stared blankly at drenched camera drones, knowing every second still streamed to millions. I should have felt triumphant. Yet all I tasted was wet soil and adrenaline, because victory never sounds like cheering. It sounds like silence where lies used to live. And that silence followed me as I walked away without looking back. Dog tags clinking like a verdict that hadn't quite decided whether it was mercy or punishment. 3 days later, headlines still looped warfare algorithm scandal, while Spencer Cabernet vanished from shelves faster than any recall. Some poured bottles down drains in moral outrage. Others hoarded them as artifacts of a fallen dynasty. Noah's exposé dominated feeds. But the comment section debated redemption when Madison announced an emergency rebrand Phoenix Cellars. Profits audited by Judge Whitfield's office in real time. Elena forwarded the DOD's internal memo clearing me of security breach responsibility. Still. Command scheduled a psyche eval because heroes and whistleblowers both trigger paperwork. Dr. Brooks asked what justice felt like. I said it felt like holding your breath for 20 years and finally exhaling only to realize your lungs forgot normal rhythm. That night alone in base housing, I dreamed of overheating fermenters morphing into munitions, woke slick with sweat, and opened the window to cold darkness until breath steadied. But calm lasted only until the courier arrived with a cream envelope in Dad's unmistakable hand. Postmark stamped hours before his arraignment. The unopened letter burning my desk with possibilities I refused to touch yet. At West Point, a week later, cadets packed the lecture hall early, whispers ricocheting off stone walls. Some carried notebooks, others brand new bottles of Phoenix Cellars still wearing tags that read, "Every cork funds a veteran." I started class not with a salute, but by threading Dad's dog tags through a chalk hook beside the screen. "Fault lines hide under every legacy," I said. Pulling up silent key heat maps, the question isn't if they crack, it's who gets buried when they do. Midway through, Cadet Reyes asked whether exposing family was worth the cost. I answered with the only truth that fit. When loyalty suffocates honesty, betrayal has already happened. The whistle is just an echo. At dismissal, no one clapped, they simply stood. And that wordless respect echoed sharper than any ovation. Yet as the hall emptied, my phone buzzed, a push alert, Richard Spencer Sr. released on bail. Vineyard placed under federal oversight. The letter on my desk felt suddenly heavier, its contents ticking louder than any ordinance, demanding to be read or destroyed before it wrote its own ending. I drove to Napa at dawn, fog curling low over vines stripped for replanting, and found Dad on the porch of an empty tasting room. Ankle monitor blinking beneath cuffed jeans. He looked smaller, hair silvered overnight, but when I held up the unopened envelope, he managed a pilot's half smile. "Didn't expect delivery this fast," he muttered. I tore it open, there 4 words scrawled almost illegible. "I finally see you," and a folded clipping of my scholarship going viral. The simplicity punched harder than any apology. Anger surged, then receded beneath a tide of exhaustion I hadn't felt till now. "Seeing isn't absolving," I said, voice flat. "Visibility doesn't erase cost." He nodded, eyes wet but unblinking, and handed me the vineyard keys, palms up like a surrender flag. I didn't take them. Legacy wasn't mine to salvage. Only truth was. So I closed his fingers back over cool metal and walked away, leaving him to decide whether recognition was beginning or end, because forgiveness, like wine, needs time no scandal can accelerate. Twilight found me on the San Pablo shoreline, combat boots dangling over water lit by refinery sparks. Madison's new bottle rested beside me, label embossed with a phoenix rising through circuitry, a nod to code in ash. She'd slipped a note under the foil capsule. "This launch is yours too, if you ever want your name on it." I traced the compass charm at my collar, felt the dog tags thump against my ribs, and recorded the closing lines of this story into my phone for anyone still listening. Vindication isn't the roar of crowds. It's the quiet you earn when truth is louder than fear. If you've ever been written out of your own narrative, hit like, share your battle in the comments. And remember, spotlights can blind, but they also guide. Aim yours wisely. I hit send, set the bottle adrift on the outgoing tide unopened, and watched it roll toward the horizon, not sure whether it would sink or sail, only knowing the current was finally flowing the right direction, and the next chapter would start the moment I stood up and turned toward the unseen shore beyond the dark water.